Hi guys, hope you're well and welcome back to my channel, and hello anyone that is new there. My name is Ellis and I am a mum of two boys. I have a 3.5-year-old called Klayton, and I also have an almost 1.5-year-old. He's another little boy and he is called Parker, so I'm a mummy of two boys. And today I just thought I'd share a bit of a different one for you guys, and I don't really delve too much into motherhood on more of a personal level. I did a video a few months ago now based around prenatal depression and something that I suffered with, but I don't really open up as much as I would probably like to. So I thought I would film this video and basically share with you what it was like and how I came about being a really young mum. I saw a video like this a few years ago now on Ash's channel. She's an Australian mummy vlogger and I loved hearing her story and her background on it. And then I've recently seen somebody else do this, Jessica Carter. She also recently shared her story on becoming a young mum, and she was like a couple of years older than me when she fell pregnant, and she has a completely different tale of events based around her side of becoming a young mum. And I just thought actually so many people experience so many different things. And also when you look at people's lives, like people look at my life now and they probably think that I have a nice house and a nice car and my children are like really nice, well hopefully, and obviously they're really well behaved and everything like that, and Klayton's really clever, and life isn't always the way that it seems, and so many things change over the years. And I became pregnant at the age of 20 and I became a mum at 21. And for me, it was a massive game changer. But a lot of people fall into this, well, becoming a mum young by mistake. And for me, I just wanted to share with you guys how it wasn't a mistake at all. Like, I really wanted to become a mum, and me and Adam were trying to have a baby when we fell pregnant with Klayton, and we tried actively both times. Now that's something that I didn't even share with my family when I first fell pregnant when I was younger. So to cut back and kind of take you back to where it all started, me and Adam had moved out, we were renting our own place, and then we moved back in with Adam's parents to save for a mortgage. And during that time, it was in the February or March time of 2013 that we put down a deposit on our first home. We'd been saving, we'd been living with Adam's parents for a couple of years, and we'd been saving and working really, really hard. And basically we put down a deposit on a place and it was due to be built in the October. And it was during that time that I just felt like everything was kind of coming together. Like, I was only 20 at the time, but Adam was 6.5 years older than me, and Adam had always said that he wanted to have children before he was 30. So that was kind of always something that was there, but never anything that I felt any pressure by at all. And I was only, like I said, 20. Well, when I actually put down the deposit on our first home, I was only 19 at the time when I bought my first home. But yeah, it was never anything that I felt any pressure by. So I was 19, Adam must have been, what, 24, 25? And it was just something that I knew that I'd always wanted. Like, I'd always wanted to be a mum. It was always something that I'd wanted. But in my head, when I was younger, I didn't see myself having kids until I was like 24, 25, 26. I saw myself having a house, getting married, then having children, and kind of following that normal line of the way you do things, I guess, what's kind of considered normal. And everyone in my family had always followed that line, and I was the eldest of 4 children, so no one had kind of done anything differently before me. But in both my side and Adam's sides, our parents had had us around the ages of 21. Like, they'd had their first children around that age. They'd both got married around the ages of 17. Well, they'd met when my mum and dad met when they were 13, and Adam's parents met when they were around 16, 17, and they both got married around the age of 19. So they both had children quite young. So it was quite normal for me to kind of have that in my brain that they got married. But then I also thought that was quite young. I don't know, it's weird. But when we purchased our first house and we were waiting for it to be built, something inside me changed a little, and I started becoming quite broody and wanting children. And I had my niece, she was super young at the time, she was about a year old, and I'd kind of had her and seen her grow up, and she was just adorable as a little baby. And there was just something inside of me that really wanted a baby. And I was doing really well at my job and everything was going really well. I was doing really, really well. I studied accounts, so I was going through the motions of going higher in that field. I just qualified on my AAT qualification. So yeah, everything was going really well, and I broached Adam about the subject and he wasn't opposed to it at all. And we said, oh, when we move into our house, we would look to do it, and that was in the October. And then I think we actually started trying around the August, September time. We just said, well, why not? Like, for some people it doesn't happen straight away. Some people, obviously, it can take up to a year, sometimes it can take even longer, so why not? So it wasn't a case of we was actively trying, and like I wasn't going through the whole like trying to conceive of like doing like the time of the month that I was doing it and planning and doing all like the ovulation tests and stuff like that. It wasn't anything like that at all. But it was kind of, well, I'll just come off of contraception, I'll come off of the pill that I'm on, and we'll just see what happens. And it ended up taking 9 months, which really shocked me because I thought it would just happen quicker. I didn't think it would take 9 months. You hear about all these horror stories of people falling pregnant when they don't want to fall pregnant. And one of my friends had fallen pregnant twice on the pill. So kind of at that point I was like, well, it ain't gonna be that hard really. And I figured that this was around the August, September time, so we only had like a month or two to wait until we're in our house. So I figured that if I did, we would have our own place, we'd be set up, we had our mortgage and everything like that, so everything would be fine. And like I said, it took 9 months, and I didn't fall pregnant until the April. So I must have fallen on the month of the March, and I found out in the April, and I found out 3 days before I turned 21. And we actually had a trip planned for us to go to New York for my 21st, and we was leaving on the 22nd of April, and my birthday was on the 20th, and I found out on the 17th. So I found out I was pregnant on the 17th, and I also had a party on the 19th, which was the Saturday. So I had a party for my birthday on the Saturday. Maybe it was on the Sunday, I can't remember now, but I had a party, and I remember that I was throwing drinks away all night and kind of switching them up with my friends and stuff like that, and Adam was getting rid of them and all stuff like that. And we didn't tell my family straight away, we kind of kept it all to ourselves because you never know what can happen with being pregnant. Anything can go wrong, and I didn't really want to, at that point I wasn't really prepared to share and then to lose what I might have been sharing. I just didn't know how things were going to go, and I'm a very anxious and nervous person, especially when it comes to pregnancies. So we kept it to ourselves, we went off to New York. I could feel things starting to change, my belly was getting a bit harder, and we came back from New York, and when we came back we told our families. Now at the time, and like I said, we basically said that, well, I never, like, anyone that kind of asked me, I kind of hurried away from the subject, but I never admitted that we were openly actively trying and that we like kind of were going down that route. But me and Adam obviously both knew that it was something that we both wanted, and I just felt like everyone was really shocked. I think they was most shocked because it was coming from me, and I have been the career girl, the go-getter, the one that's done really well at school and gotten good grades and good exams and things like that. And I just don't think anyone expected me to turn around at the age of, well, just turned 21, so about 20, falling pregnant at 20, and at the age of 21 turning around saying, hey mum, hey dad, I'm pregnant. And don't get me wrong, like, my life had kind of already taken the path of, I had my own house and I had a good job and I was studying, so I wasn't in a position where some young mums are, that they're kind of not expecting at all, they're still in school, they don't have their own place. And I mean, my family were completely supportive. I just think nobody expected it. Like, everyone I think thought I would have children a lot later down the line because of how career focused I was more than anything. But I went on to have a really awful pregnancy. I hated being pregnant. I know some people would die to be pregnant, and for me it was horrible, and I touched on this in my prenatal depression video, so I'm not going to go into that too much. But I basically suffered with really bad morning sickness. I had this itching problem that basically the whole of my tummy was red raw, and I remember it was just horrible. I had to be given Piriton and creams and nothing helped, and I couldn't keep any food down. And I remember being under a lot of stress because I just started a new job, and I'd only been at the job a couple of weeks before I went to New York, and then literally I think I was literally at work for like a week or so before morning sickness kicked back in after I got back. And I remember having to phone into work every day, and it was just a really stressful time for me. So we'd kind of taken it all on board, but I just didn't expect to be hit with such unpleasant illnesses during pregnancy. And I didn't really know. I had a friend who'd had a couple of children, but she'd never had to work alongside it, and I didn't really have anyone else that was that close to me that had children and that I could speak to or relate to. And I just felt quite alone during that time. It wasn't a very good time for me, And then obviously I went on to have Klayton, and I remember Klayton's labour being horrible. I don't even know, I think I filmed a labour and delivery story about this about 4 years ago now when I had Klayton, well 3 and a bit years ago. When I had Klayton I filmed a story, and I don't think I ever uploaded it, so I'll see if I can find it because it might be quite interesting to share with you guys. It would be a very young me. Like, I was looking back at some of my earlier videos and gosh, I was young. And I look back and think I just had Klayton when I was filming those videos, or I was pregnant with Klayton when I filmed those videos that are kind of earlier on my channel. And it just seems crazy how young I actually was then, and how much I've grown up and how much children have changed me in general. But yeah, I had Klayton, and Klayton's labour was also such hard work. But coming out the other side, the day that I gave birth to him, I just felt instantly better. But I also had this kind of motion of, I was then on maternity leave, and I went to groups, like I took Klayton to baby sensory and to sing and sign, and I took him water babies. But a lot of the mums that went to these groups were a lot older than me, and I just didn't really gel with any of them. And maybe I should have gone to more of like the community-based play groups. Maybe they would have been a bit better. But I just wasn't close to any of them. All of those were like a good drive away from me, because where I lived right on the outskirts on like a new build development. But new builds tend to be like more further away, don't they? They're not generally central of the town or anything like that. Yeah, so I kind of wasn't close to anything really. And I just felt quite alone during that time. And I also felt judged a little bit, I guess. People would look at you because you are quite young and you're carrying this baby. And I feel like some people are so judgy, yet they don't know anything about you or your life. Like, I could just look really young for all they know. I could just look like a 19-year-old, even though I could be like 29. Like, some people just do that. And I just feel like I got a lot of judgy looks, a lot of people that wouldn't necessarily come up and talk to me or gel with me. I feel like there's like some sort of big hysteria and some big kind of like, I don't know, like black cloud over if you're a young mum, and there's no need to be at all. Everyone's entitled to do whatever they want, and having a baby for me was one of the best things I have ever done. I feel like it grew mine and Adam's relationships. Like, it's tough, but then a lot of people say how tough it is having a baby, and again, I never felt that. Like, so many people say how your life changes, and gosh, yeah, it changes. It does, I'm not gonna lie. But me and Adam had really got to that point in our lives where we weren't going out as much. We were doing more like homely stuff. Don't get me wrong, I mean, you can't go out whenever you want and go out for a meal or go to the cinemas or go on holiday as easy. Like, I remember our first holiday with Klayton was so bad. Like, I can't even express how bad it was. He cried the majority of the time. We didn't get to sunbathe. We were in early. Well, actually, we weren't actually in early every night because he slept in his pram in the evenings. He was quite good at that. But it was just kind of a different atmosphere. Like, we couldn't go and do the same things. And normally we'd mingle with like younger couples when we go on holiday, and we do drinking games and stuff like that. And this holiday we ended up speaking to older people more, or like people that did have children, but they were all a lot older than us, and it was just weird. Like, it was just very different. And likewise, being at home, you can't just quickly say, oh, I'm just popping to the shops. Like, everything entails you getting a child ready and a baby ready and getting them ready and making sure your baby bag's packed with nappies and wipes and a change of clothes, because anything can happen in a 5-minute pop off to the shop situation. It just is what it is. But yeah, for me, the change in terms of our life didn't actually change too much, and I actually loved it. Like, becoming a mum was one of the best things I ever do. I welcomed it so much to me, and I just found it really fulfilling. And like, I just feel like I'm one of those people that took to motherhood like a duck does to water. Like, it really did work so well for me. It just came naturally to me, and it was something that I'd always wanted. I was one of those children that had the baby Annabelles with like the prams and the buggies, and I had a baby born, and I loved to change the nappies and feed them and push them in prams, and had a little crib for them. Yeah, I just loved all that when I was younger. So for me, it wasn't too much of a change, and I don't really think it was for Adam. I think Adam took a little bit more time to kind of come around to it. In terms of once the baby was here, I think he was a bit more nervous, but like, Adam did like all of the first changing of the bums, and like, I remember he did the first feed for Klayton and stuff like that, because I was in quite a bit of shock after we'd had Klayton because of the situation and what happened. And I remember Adam just did all that because he had nieces and nephews, and he just took it on. Like, he just did so well. Like, and I don't know what I would have done without him. Like, I remember we came home, and on that first night, Klayton had a poo explosion, and it was like, you know, like the tarry, I feel like there's a name for it, but I feel like I can't remember it. But it was that, and oh my gosh, we was just both like, what do we do? Like, our parents had not long left, and we was just in the house with the baby all by ourselves, and we had this like explosion, and he was screaming and he was crying, and it was December, and it was just, oh, I remember it wasn't good. But yeah, I love it. And I just basically wanted to say that I feel like the reason why I'm sharing this story is because so many people have a very negative side to being a young mum. And for me, I'm now 25, I have 2 children, potentially we are going to have a third. Like, it's something that I've always said that I would love 3 children. Since having Parker, I found the jump from 1 to 2 children a lot more harder than I did from none to 1, which is, I don't see a lot of people saying that, but that's my personal experience. 1 to 2 children for me is like, you do need those eyes in the back of your head. You don't necessarily have a spare pair of hands all day doing the school runs, and you've already got a child to deal with, and like, if you're not well, there's 2 children, and gosh, it's just so much more. Like, and also as well, like, I struggle at the moment because Klayton and Parker are on different stages in terms of I can give them the same dinner, but Parker isn't feeding himself, which means instead of like when I used to let Klayton feed himself and then I'd run around doing some cleaning, like tidying up all the dishes and stuff like that. Got some hair stuck to me somewhere and I can't find it. When I would normally do that, I now lose all that time, so I do find that time is so much more hard work. But then again, both the boys have been good sleepers. They have both been quite generally well and loving and caring. They play quite nicely, so there are certain aspects that do make that aspect a little bit harder. But yeah, I just find that there are so many people that say and have a negative spin on it, and for me in the future, I love the fact that I'm a young mum. I love the fact that by the time I'm 40, which is in 15 years time, Klayton's going to be 19, Parker's going to be, getting my numbers really confused, 15 years time, Parker will be 16, and if we have another child, it will be in the next couple of years, so they will be like, I don't know, 12-ish maybe, roughly. Me and Adam can go on holiday. Like, at the age of 40, we're not going to have babies stuck around our legs. And I think I remember hearing the fact that I think that the average age now for a woman to have a baby in the UK is 28. Like, I'm going to be done by 28. It's not going to be me having any children at 28. And that's the hardest thing for me now at the moment, trying to decide if we have another child, because in myself I feel really good, in my work I feel really good, and that kind of all went on hold for such a long time, like my career and what I wanted. And initially it was accounts, and it's changed since becoming a mum, but that all got put on hold, and having another baby would certainly put me on hold again. I don't think I'd be able to carry on filming and stuff like that, because for me, I get really unwell during pregnancies. So that's changed quite a bit, and also the fact like the boys and how they are together, and we'd need new cars and more space and a new house, and like, I know I could make it fit, but it's how I feel comfortable right now, and I'm really happy with our lives at the moment and how they are. So when that will happen, I don't know. It may never happen. We may actually decide completely against having another child, but it is what it is. Like, I don't know, but I love the fact that we're both young. I mean, Adam's 32 now. He's just turned 32 a couple of weeks ago. So he's relatively still young to have 2 children as well. And I love that. And like I said, I love the fact that by the time we get older, like, I don't think I'd want to be a mum that has a baby, like starts her family at the age of like 28, 29, 30. I know so many people that I work with that have babies and they're like 30 odd, and granted, they've done their life, they've enjoyed their life, and I get why so many people do it that way round. But for me, I'm already starting to feel a bit broken in my body. Like, I've got like, I can feel aches and pains, and I don't think I'd cope with pregnancy if I was older, full stop. And likewise, I don't know how well I'd recover from pregnancies afterwards. And just to be a young, fit, healthy mum, like, I can run around and roll on the floor with the boys and proper like play with them and rough play and go out with them and do active things. And if I was a lot older, I might not be able to do that as well, or as much, or as often. So I think there are benefits, and so many people highlight the negatives to being a young mum. And for me, it was an active decision. And then when we had Parker, I was, how old was I? 23 when I fell pregnant, and we actually fell pregnant within a month. Like, I came off the pill the month of my wedding, because obviously I didn't want to fall pregnant on my wedding, and then we went on our honeymoon and I didn't fall pregnant that month, and then the month after I fell pregnant, and I didn't think I was going to fall pregnant at all, let alone that quickly. And it just happened. Like, it just happened, and I was so surprised by it taking and happening that quickly, but it did. And for me, it's been planned, and I love both the boys, and it's changed me as a person. Like, I've grown up so much, and I look at so many of my friends and I see their lives, and I would never swap their life for my life. Like, everyone has different journeys and different paths, and everyone can do whatever they want, however they want it, and this is just what works for me. And like, it's funny because I see my brothers and sisters, and so my sister below me, she is, God, what, she's gonna be 23 in October, and that was the age that I'd gotten married, was in like my second or third home, and then fell pregnant again with Parker. And it just seems crazy that like, she still lives at home with mum and dad. She has no interest. She goes out all the time. She does what she wants. And it's crazy to think that like, my brother, he's just turned 21. And at that age, I'd literally just found out I was pregnant with Klayton. And it's just like, our lives are just so different, like even from my brothers and sisters. But then I guess I've always been the one with like, I would like to say that I'm wise beyond my years, and everyone has always said to me, even from the age of 17, they never thought that I was 17. I've always been that person that acted and has come across more mature, just in terms of how I come across, how I speak, how I hold myself, in terms of how career focused I am and motivated I am and independent, from buying my home at 19 and all sorts of things like that. But yeah, the point of this story is everyone has different ideas of what they consider to be the perfect age to have a baby. There is no perfect age. Yes, I was a young mum. Yes, I probably am still a young mum to be 25 with 2 children. Do I love it? Would I change it? I love it, yes. Would I change it? Never. Like, it is what it is. Everyone's entitled to be who they are and do what they want, no matter what the circumstances are. And I love it, and I just wouldn't change it for the world. And yeah, I just think it's so perfect being a mum, and my boys are my everything. So yeah, I just want to say that basically you can do what you want. Like, don't let those judgy people that judge you, because it's not fair, and they shouldn't, and there's no need for them to judge you. And like I said, like, everyone seems to think, I think people would look at me and think, oh, like, you had a baby at 21 and you was working and doing this, like, oh, it must have been a mistake. But why? Like, no, like, my parents and Adam's parents had babies at 21 and they weren't mistakes. That it just is what it is, basically. I don't know, I'm waffling now. Anyhow, I was also wondering if you guys would like to see, because I've had a few comments in the past about how we actually managed to purchase our first house, because I have so many people saying, how did you buy a house? I have a lot of people who want to know more about budgeting and finance. And I purchased my first home at the age of 19. I moved out literally the month after I turned 18, and we went into rental. But yeah, I'm just wondering how many of you guys would like to see a video on like my tips and tricks and how we managed to do it, and what the process was for us and things like that. So if you would, then I'd love for you to leave a comment below, let me know. And if there's anything else you want to know, like if there are any other stories or parts of my life or aspects of my life that you want me to delve into a bit further, then obviously comment them below as well. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, then obviously please don't forget to like, and if you are new to my channel, then obviously please don't forget to subscribe. I would love for you to subscribe. I post videos many times a week based around parenting, lifestyle, travel, home interiors, hauls, all sorts. So I would love to have you here along with me. And if you're not already, please click the notification button as well, because if you don't, you might not be notified of when I have a new video going live. So I'd love for you to click that as well. But that's it for me now. I am out now with the boys, so I will see you all again very soon. Bye guys.